Okay, we're gonna get started and we'll have some fun today. Sound good? Today, we're gonna get into some stuff. And I have several ideas that are a little bit disconnected from each other. We're gonna go through them, but I think by the end, we're gonna see how they all connect and will ultimately help you become a greater and greater leader. So, all right. This is the first idea. Leaders believe before others and they believe for others. I believe that I am sitting in a room full of highly influential leaders. Do you guys believe that about yourself yet? Yeah. I believe I'm sitting in a room and an online room here. Hello, everybody. Of highly, and I don't mean kind of sort of leaders. I don't mean people with maybe potential if they tried harder. I believe that anybody who wants to lead and wants to put in that effort can absolutely become a highly influential leader. And there's many ways to become a leader, and there are many different types of things you could lead. But if you wanted to commit to being a leader, I believe I'm sitting in a room full of leaders. And if you are not there yet, I'll believe it for you, before you, and believe it for you. So that sounded like a Maxwell line, but I'm pretty sure it's mine. Unless I subconsciously just didn't remember that he said that. I was like, when I wrote it, I was like, man, I'm getting lines almost as good as Maxwell over here, okay? Leaders believe before and they believe for others. So I'm going to talk to you guys about this a little bit. But the point is, I'm willing to believe before you and for you. So I've been coaching my kids' soccer game. So I have an 8-year-old. I didn't want to take on coaching the kids' team. I was excited for my wife to put our kid into soccer. But I was also a little bit like, Saturdays are gone now. But the truth was, and she kind of convinced me, no, we got to put him in soccer. It'll be good for him. I'm like, I agree. All right, let's do that. Then none of the other parents signed up to be the coach, right? And they're waiting until the last minute. It's like 4 days before the first game. There's still no coach. My wife's like, you really need to do it. I was like, I don't need another thing on my plate. And I went ahead and signed up to be the coach for the team. And turns out it was really good for me because a lot of times on Saturday, kids are just watching, Saturday morning cartoons, whatever, hanging out, watching. There's not Saturday morning cartoons anymore. It's just Netflix. But, they're watching cartoons on Saturday. And so oftentimes I just end up working in the Saturday morning. I'm letting my wife sleep in. I put a show on for the kids and get their breakfast ready, and I end up just working again. And so having that break Saturday mornings for me ended up being a really good thing. And sometimes it's just free point. Sometimes the best thing for a busy schedule is to add one more thing, but of something totally different. And that balance isn't about having less things on your plate. It's about having different types of things on your plate that balance you better. And so for me, adding soccer where I could clear my mind, not think about work, invest in my son and that time with him as well as these other kids, it's a really great time. It ended up being like super healthy for me. Plus I needed a little bit of jogging. Because when you're like, wait, you're the coach, aren't you on the sidelines? Not with 8-year-olds. Like you got to run around with them and make sure they're actually, playing the game. And there's 2 kids that if I don't yell at them look alive, look alive. They would just literally be staring at the clouds for the time. And there's one kid, and each week you get a little medal for different words or whatever. And the one kid hadn't gotten a medal yet or whatever. And my son was like, do you think he'll end up getting one? And I was like, I think there's enough medals over enough weeks. I think everybody gets one of those little medals. And he goes, yeah, he literally just stares at the clouds. Why would he get a medal for that? That's what he said. Not my words, what he said. And I was like, well, he's trying to participate. I don't know. It's been a great thing. We ended up being undefeated the whole 7 games. We had 1 tie, and we had, 5 or 6 wins. And then the 8th game comes around, and we're against another team that's undefeated. Right? And our team, we just randomly named the Eagles because I didn't even know we were supposed to name the team. It was just, I was told we were team 2, and I was going to roll with that. And so then one of the little girls she's like, we need a name for the team. And I was like, oh, sure. She's like, how about Eagles? And I was like, Eagles, it is. We didn't even vote or anything. Then the other kids were upset they didn't get to pick the name. But I was like, she already picked it. I already went with it. We're the Eagles. Did you get a medal for it? You get a medal for picking the team's name. And so, but the other team, undefeated, they didn't even have a tie. They were just straight up, truly undefeated. The Renegade Bulldogs. Whoa. Okay, so I meet the coach. It's Saturday. Last Saturday, I meet the coach. Very wonderful, sweet woman, and she's like, I was like, it's the Bulldogs. She's like, it's the Renegade Bulldogs, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. And she goes, well, it's just because the kids couldn't decide between Renegades and Bulldogs, and so we went with a combination of the 2 names and got the Renegade Bulldogs, which is a pretty intimidating name. When you think about it, it's a pretty intimidating name, and so. The Renegade Bulldogs, fully undefeated. My team, undefeated technically, but with a tie. So our team is already intimidated. Most of their kids are a little bit taller. There's several of those kids on that team had played together before. So they're a good team. And my kids were like, well, they've never been defeated. They never even tied. Like, how are we going to beat them? And the kids were like, it's okay if we're number 2. I think we still get a reward. I'm like, no, guys, no, we're not doing this. We are going to win. They're not better than us. We're going to win this game. So the game starts. We score the first goal. Everybody's kind of excited. But then they quickly scored 2 goals. Okay. That comes to halftime. The kids are whole first half. Our kids are very discouraged. One of our players who's normally good is joining the other kid, and they're just staring at the clouds. and so it's not going well in the first half. And it's a little bit warmer, so they're kind of humid, so the kids are just tired. We get to second half, they're like, there's no way we're gonna win. And I kind of rallied them. I think it was actually at 3-1 at that point, so we're down 3-1. They're all discouraged, they're down. I was like, guys, now I had a halftime moment with a bunch of 8-year-olds, and I was like, they're not better than us. Don't say that. Just because they're undefeated doesn't mean they have to win this game. We can beat them, and we can make a comeback. I'm encouraging whatever. So we get in there. We don't score any goals that whole second half. They didn't score any either. But they were also controlling the ball a lot more than us. It was a very hard second half. And so I can see the kids are all discouraged. Everybody's tired. And so we're up on their side of the field, and it's for a kick in. And the ref, standing there, he's about to blow us. I was like, hold on, how much time do we have? And he goes, you have 5 minutes. I could see all of my kids' faces just like, oh, there's no way we're going to win. And I looked at all of them and I was like, no, we're not going to get discouraged. I was like, 5 minutes means 5 goals. It's plenty of time. And the other coach laughed at me. And she kind of laughed. And she's like, okay, 5 goals in 5 minutes. She literally said that. And I was like, okay, well, our worst player, he's like our worst player, but at least he paid attention. I think the worst player was actually the kid who never paid attention, even though he might have actually been better at soccer. But you got to pay attention. He's probably one of the worst ones. He had never played soccer before, and probably the least coordinated, but really great attitude. He heard me say that. He runs at the ball, takes it, and dribbles it all the way into the goal. Literally, he didn't even shoot. He just takes it all the way into the goal. Our kids freak out. They're like, ah, the parents are on the sidelines. It's a championship game. They're all freaking out on the sideline. Immediately, they start with the ball in half field, whatever it's called, and then our kids take the ball. My son kicks the ball up towards the goal. One of our best players kicks it, hits the defender in the face, and it goes in. Amazing moment. We're now tied 3-3. We've injured one of their players. One of their kids throws himself on the ground and throws a fit. The coach, she's all like, holy cow, he's not joking. They're going to score 5 goals. And so I was like, let's go. So they have the ball. We steal the ball again. One of the girls kind of just kicks it up because we had one kid who was faster than everybody. And I said, if you ever just get the ball, just kick it up towards there, and he's faster than everybody. He'll get to the ball and score. And so she did that. She kicked it all the way up there for him. He sprints down there, beats their entire defense to it, and scores the 3rd goal in the last minute. Everybody erupts. 2 or 3 other kids throw themselves on the other team, throw themselves on the ground. One of the kids is yelling at the kid who should have blocked it. It was a whole scene. It was fun, okay? And so, but look, my point is, whether you're an 8-year-old in soccer, or you're here to staff, or you're watching this video later, I'll believe in you. And you often have to believe for people before they'll believe in themselves. And then at many times, you have to believe for them. Not just before them, but also continually for them. And that's how you develop leadership in people. And so I have told this to Alan many, many times in coaching franchisees, and we try to help people build thriving businesses, is that we have to believe it for them even when they don't. And so whatever margin is missing in their belief about what they can accomplish, it is our role to fill it. So if they're only 50% there, I'm going to bring the full 50%. If they're at 1%, right? We had a franchisee several months ago send a very long email and basically thrown in the towel, very upset, blah, 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 all the stuff. I didn't respond to the email. I just called him the next day and I said, look, I found your email unacceptable, and let me tell you why. And I said, look, if you wanna sell, I'll help you sell. But here's what I was like, or you can listen to my plan for you and watch what happens. And he goes, I'm listening. And I just walked him through what I thought would fix his business. He's now doing so well, he's buying another territory, right? Just in a few months, total turnaround. And I believed before him, and I believed for him, and then eventually he believed, and now he's doing even more than what we had talked about. And so leadership is believing before and for. And this, though, really needs to apply to yourself, because at the end of the day, you can't totally be reliant on other people. Like, there's going to be a day where the coach doesn't pick up the phone and you're just feeling like, hey man, I feel like a failure. I don't know what to do, blah, blah, blah. There's going to be a day where no matter what, you still need to be able to believe for yourself. So we're going to get into that and how to build up more of a list of evidence and proof for why you can believe that you can actually do more than you think. Here's the idea. You are the hardest person to lead, so lead yourself, right? You're the hardest person to lead, so learn to lead yourself. There's nobody harder to lead than you, especially for you to lead. And I'm not pointing at any one person here. I'm not saying any one person in this room is the hardest person I've ever had to lead. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you are always going to be the hardest person for you to lead. And so that means one of the very best places to practice your leadership is to practice leading yourself. And most people are terrible at leading themselves. And you'll see a lot of people try to get into leading things when they haven't even figured out how to lead themselves properly. So we're going to get into that a bit here. Lead yourself. You need to start small. All great, good things start small. A lot of people want to wait for the right opportunity at the right time. Stop waiting for the perfect opportunity. Stop waiting for the right time. Stop waiting for the right idea. Stop waiting for the right thing. Take small opportunities and win. Small things are easier to win at. And you need more wins for you to build up your confidence that you're capable of more. And as you get more confident, people are going to want to follow you because you believe in you. You have shown that you can lead you well and get wins, and you're confident you can get more wins, which gives me more confidence to follow you. You need to even stop waiting to know your purpose. I think a lot of people they don't want to lead anything. They don't want to take that next step until heaven opens up and gives them some amazing command of what they're supposed to do with their life. Here's what I have found out. You never in your life are going to have a perfectly defined plan from yourself or from God or whatever you believe. It's never going to be all laid out for you. It's never going to be exact. You just have to pick a direction and start going, and the details will start to be defined over time. As you grow in leadership, you will find more purpose and your vision will get more refined. Don't overthink it. I really think that most people get stuck here. They're trying to figure out exactly what they should do, and I'm waiting for this right opportunity. I'm waiting for the right time and the right thing. And instead, you need to just pick a direction and start going. The details will figure themselves out. Don't overthink it. By starting small, you are making the purpose growth. If you need purpose, here's the purpose. Grow. If you're going to work on leadership, here's your purpose on why you're doing it. If you're going to volunteer for something and try to lead something, here's your reason for doing it. You're going to grow. You're going to get practice. Leadership itself is a worthy endeavor, and you're going to have more influence. And so by starting small, you're making the purpose these things. You'll soon understand the real reason behind your leadership. But for now, you're intentionally learning how to lead. So it's not that I'm saying you'll just live a purposeless life. You're going to find more and more purpose, and your purpose will get more and more defined. And so for me, ResiBrands is not just about making money. It's about helping business owners keep control of the American economy. I want to help people build legacy businesses and take care of their families and do things that they're proud of. I have even more purpose for what I want to do with the money once I have more money or able to sell some shares or whatever. I want to do things in Africa and Nepal with some of what I do in my nonprofit. That's some of the purpose that I have and what I want to work towards. But your purpose is more and more defined the more you do. The more you, when I started franchising originally, I didn't have a whole full out plan of how I was going to help people necessarily. I knew that we could probably franchise. I knew I could probably get some sold. When I first started my company, I didn't do it for anybody other than me. I just didn't want to work for people, right? And so starting my company was, I hate being told what to do. So it started with pride and arrogance. And I have found, but I got started and I went a certain direction and my purpose was more defined over time. And the details reveal themselves as you head in the right direction. So pick a direction that seems appealing to you and then just head in that direction and watch the plan and the details will start to show themselves over time. Even right now, I'm working on some new ideas that not everybody or hardly anybody knows about right now. Working on some new things, and I don't even have the whole details. And sometimes I'll work with somebody, they're like, let's write this in the plan. I'm like, no, we don't need that full plan yet. We know this is generally the direction. We're going to start walking in that direction. It was crazy. This is crazy, guys. This is the kind of stuff that happens to me all the time. Some of the things that I started kind of working on in my head, I only talk to maybe 4 people about, 5 people about. I'm getting introductions randomly to people that I know will fit into that plan really well. Or somebody that I haven't spoken to in 4 years that would be perfect for something I'm thinking about working on, and was literally thinking, I need somebody to help me with this, or that, pops back in and we're getting coffee on Thursday. There are a lot of things like that for me, as long like your purpose and the details are defined when you're walking in the right direction. And it's crazy if you just start moving, what will happen around you. Like, you don't even have to control it all. You don't have to plan it all. You don't have to think through it all. Just start moving in a good direction that seems appealing to you, that seems like is right for you, and watch how everything starts to fall into place. Lead yourself like you're leading someone else. So we kind of, I believe in you, and then it's like, a purpose, and then no, like, let's get a little more practical. Sound good? All right, we're gonna get a little more practical here. Lead yourself like you're leading someone else. How would you manage your current position? What time should they wake up? How would you organize their tasks? How would you organize their calendar? How much should they get done each day? Right? If you're going to lead others, and that's the kind of stuff that you might help lead somebody on, well, you need to do that for yourself first. So literally start with yourself. What time should I wake up? How would I organize my tasks? How would I organize my calendar? How much should I get done each day? Start simple. Step 1, create a checklist. Step 2, organize your calendar. This sounds incredibly simple, but there's so many people that don't do this on a daily basis. Maybe they do it once a week, maybe they do it once a month. I have a checklist for every day. So I have all my projects and everything click up, and I also have a little checklist that in the mornings I'm often just typing in a few, 4, 5, 6 things that I want to make sure I get done that day. Some of you are writing it on a notebook. Great. That's great too. But then I organize my calendar, or I organize my calendar every Sunday night, but then I will reorganize throughout the week based upon the checklist. So I'll cancel this meeting, move this here, because I need to get certain things done that are priorities. It's that simple. I'm gonna get back to this we're gonna come back to some of this later, but don't set timelines yet. Learn to love the process of growing and winning. I've been guilty most of my professional career of setting too many timelines and setting numbers to everything. And I actually don't really do it anymore. So it used to be, we're gonna hit X million by this date, right? And I'll always have those in place, and we're always working towards those. The problem was, we're always putting the celebration in the future. We're always putting the wins in the future. And so as I have changed my philosophy, and then when we started franchising, and it was like, all right, we're gonna get to 20, and then it was, we're gonna get to 200 in 5 years. And then it was like, no, that's still too low of a goal. And then it was like, we're gonna build 10 brands and do 1,000 franchises. And now I don't have any numbers like that I talk about. When people ask me now, timelines are overrated. You can't control everything, and does it really matter if you hit it by December 31st or February 28th? Does it really matter that much? Some projects maybe, but your overall goals. Now, I'm not talking about a project and it has to be live for that client at this time, right? There are timelines and deadlines that matter, but for your goals is what I'm talking about. Does it really matter if you can finally bench press that amount of weight by December 31st, or if you were able to do it February 28th? Does it really matter that much? Doesn't really matter. What matters is that you're working on it and you're growing towards that direction. Timelines are just simply overrated. You should be growing and beating your timelines. What I've noticed is, as I've gotten better at what I do, and I've gotten better at leading teams, we're beating all of my timelines anyways. Like 20 franchises, that was too easy. 205 years, we did 202 years. Like, it didn't even make sense to put timelines anymore, because I apparently, even with my aggressive goals, am not capable of setting proper goals. And so now I actually just say things like this: as big as we can get, as fast as we can do it, as good as we can be, right? Like, it's more philosophical and more about purpose and what we're trying to achieve than it is about a specific number or a specific timeline. So what are the goals for Resi? As big as we can get. When are we going to do that? As soon as we can do it. And we're going to be as good as we possibly can be. Like, that's our goals now. I don't really care if we're at 1,000, 2,000, or 20,000 franchisees. Big as we can get, as fast as we can do it, while also doing it as good as we can. Take any opportunity you can grow. So you're thinking, all right, I'm ready to move forward. I want to start with small things. I want to go in the right direction and let the purpose and the details define themselves over time. Volunteer to lead anything, something, anything. Doesn't matter what it is. At a nonprofit or a church or a local community, Jen's like the mayor of Manor. Do you guys know that? Not really. We joke with her. She's on the city council, but I just call her the mayor of Manor. Is like, it rolls off the tongue nicely. So we just say you're the mayor of Manor. She's really just on the city council. She volunteers. She wants to make her community better. She wants to make sure that Manor, as it's a growing and developing area and city, that she wants to make sure it's done well. She cares about it, and so she leads in that way. I think that's an amazing example of somebody who's volunteering to lead, and volunteers are the hardest type of people to lead because they don't have to do it. Like, I think it's way harder to lead volunteers than it is to tell employees what to do. Like, I've led a lot of like nonprofit events and things like that, and oh my gosh, it will grow you in your sales ability. Like, you have to learn how to pitch and show value props and make it about them and make sure they understand what they're getting out of it so that they show up to an event to help. Like, you'll get so good at sales, you'll learn how to lead, all just by volunteering. So lead our party planning committee. This is a real request. We need a leader for it. So somebody who's in here just, I really want to be a leader. I have something for you. All right. So keep a record. So this is the next thing. I want you to literally keep a record for yourself. It's mostly for yourself, but as you start to keep a record, you're more likely to remember all the things you have done, and then you'll be much more ready to spit them off when somebody asks why you're qualified, or what background do you have in that, or where have you led before, or how did you learn how to sell so well. You can just start spitting off all the things that you've led or done, all of your achievements. You should literally keep a record of them, because you forget how awesome you are. This is true of everybody. You forget how awesome you are. You forget how much you're capable of doing. So this is mostly for you, and then later it's for others. I feel like every great movie has a moment where the main character is like falsely accused of something or misunderstood, and like all they would have to do is just talk for about 5 minutes and explain themselves, and then the movie would be over, right? But there's always that scene where you're like, just say the stuff. Just say, no, why are you saying, now you're walking away. Why are you walking away? You could have just fixed the situation if you had given them the details they didn't have. You know what I'm talking about? It's like all movies. It's the common part of the plot. They're misunderstood, they're falsely accused, whatever. They don't properly defend themselves, and the movie continues for a while. But you need to do that for yourself, because often with others, but also more for yourself, you are falsely accusing or misunderstanding yourself as well, or not seeing the full potential, or not able to really see what you could really do and how great you are. And so you need to be able to argue with yourself as well as defend yourself to anybody else. So keep a record, a list of all your wins. Keep a list of everything you have built or led, a real list in a document, not on a dirty napkin, not on some loose piece of paper somewhere, in a document, saved in Google Drive for yourself, that you know I've achieved these things. Keep a real list. Every professional athlete and every criminal has a record. And you can have one too. You like that, Eli? Why do they have records? So we know what they've done, right? It's important that you know the Eagles are 8-0, or 7-1 with a tie, right? Okay? 0 losses though, 7-1-0, okay? It's important, right? And I'm gonna put that in my little list of achievements. I led a group of 8-year-olds to a 7-1-0. And criminals have a record, so we know what they've done, right? So why don't you have a record of what you've done so that you know what you've done, and other people will know what you've done when you need to tell them? Keep a record and all the evidence to prove to yourself that you are able and capable. This will develop confidence, which you will need in order to lead others. Even if you don't literally pull out the document and brag about all your wins, you knowing and remembering all of your wins builds up more confidence for you so that you can lead others well. And people do not want to follow people who are not confident. Confidence is the primary thing that followers look for in a leader, sometimes to a fault, but it is the first thing that they're looking for. Then they should also be looking for character and a real plan and organization and all those other things that are important. But the first thing they're generally looking for is, are they confident or not? Because oftentimes the rest of the group isn't. This will help confidence. Starting small builds your list of wins. Starting small builds your confidence. Starting small prepares you for more and greater things. Starting small allows people what they need to trust you. Remember, only cowards follow cowards. Don't despise the days of small things. The Bible, Zechariah, if you want to look for it. So a lot of people, like I said, they're not willing to start small because they're waiting for that right moment, the right thing, the thing that fits their perfect purpose or their personality the best. And what the scriptures are alluding to here is just start small. Don't look at small things as some opportunity that's beneath you. Start small and watch what happens. Be humble and take advantage of all the opportunities around you. Again, if you want to grow as a leader, you'll start seeing plenty of opportunities to lead and to grow. You get better, wins snowball, leadership snowballs, your purpose and vision get clear, and you find more meaning as you just get going. All right, next idea here. Give yourself another chance. Just as you would lead yourself like you would lead someone else, I think oftentimes we're more likely to give someone else a second chance and not ourselves a second chance. And people will beat themselves up over things and they don't need to. And you can give yourself unlimited chances. Unlimited, if you want to. I got kicked out of a BNI group. This is my first time ever sharing this story because I was embarrassed about it for a long time. I didn't ever share it. And I'm going to share this story because I'm going to share how it's an ultimate comeback story for BNI. All right. I got kicked out of the BNI group. I thought that I was a great BNI member for our chapter. I was giving referrals every single week. I showed up on time. That was it. And it was a good BNI group. And at that time, the president and her committee or whatever were very serious about growing the group. And so they're putting on all these events. I never invited anybody to the events, and I never showed up to those additional extra events. They were really frustrated about that and kicked me out. Okay. So I thought I'm good. I was doing the bare minimum, which is show up with a referral and show up on time. Totally surprised when I got kicked out. And a good friend of mine was in that group. And so I called him. He's like, I don't know what to do. He's like, I wasn't in the decision, but he's like, I was like, well, can I join? Am I allowed to join other groups? Or like, what do I do? And so I had the decision to make. Do I just swear off BNI and networking and these kind of groups altogether, right? And just, I don't need it for my business. Blah, blah, be arrogant about it. Or do I just join another BNI and become president so I can't get kicked out? So I went with the latter. I joined another group within a week. That was across the street. They asked if I'd ever been in a BNI before, and I was like, yep, it went great. Can I apply to this one now? And so I don't know if they called the other group and said what or not, but either way, I got in the group. I immediately volunteered to do one of the coordinating roles. And then 6 months later, I had done such a good job in one of those committees where I was helping lead events and different things like that. Then I got nominated by one of the people. They didn't even ask to be nominated, just showed that I was awesome. And they nominated me to be president, and then the current president picks the future president, but normally there's a team that nominates it. Anyway, so I became president, started a whole big event to get more people into the chapter. We got a good amount in, then COVID hit. And so it was a year term. I led our BNI during COVID, where all the other groups were starting to shrink, to become one of the largest, most successful BNI groups in all of America. And we were listed on a bunch of the lists of top groups all over the US for our networking stuff during COVID. So I went from doing the bare minimum and getting kicked out to leading one of the top groups in the whole nation. It was I think it was the top group in Texas. Comeback stories are more fun anyways, right? They're more fun anyways. If I had said, hey, the Eagles, yeah, we won 5-0, scored all our first goals in the first 5 minutes, then just made fun of them for the next hour. Wouldn't be a very good story, right? Comeback stories are better anyway, so give yourself a second chance. All right, the 10 ways to get ahead. As promised, we will always end these with 10 ways that you, as an employee of ResiBrands, or whatever you choose to do in the future, can get ahead wherever you are. Number 1, micro wins make it fun. People like to follow people who are having fun. So when what you do is you have micro wins. This is how we start small. So if you're trying to get this done or that done, you start with breaking that thing down into a whole bunch of little wins, and you celebrate them. And so whatever goals you have, the big ones, make sure that you never stick just a big goal out there, because it's kind of discouraging, because it throws all of the celebration to the future. The best that you can do is microdose your wins, right? You want that little dopamine hit? You want it every day to keep yourself going and motivated and having fun. And so making micro wins where you and your team and whoever else can celebrate with you all the time. You just want to be like this guy, having fun, partying all the time. All right. 2, you don't have to commit to every idea or project forever. Take the shot and pivot when you need to. You don't have to commit. Like, it's okay. It's okay to start doing something and go, I'm going to go this direction, actually. It's perfectly acceptable. I think that sometimes that idea of like, you're not allowed to quit, no one quits. It's also a way to be held hostage. When you're like, I'm not a quitter, I'll never quit. It's really just pride, and you can be held hostage by it. You're allowed to pivot and change projects, change directions. That's a normal part of life and being a human, especially as you're defining your purpose and getting more and more knowledge and information as you're going down the direction that you want to go. It's perfectly normal to abandon a project and move in a different direction. So, 3, risk takers always make more money than the risk averse. Just always true, okay? So take some risks, have some fun. Number 4, you have not because you ask not. That's from Jesus. Get really, really comfortable with asking for things. Like, you'd be surprised at how many people have a hard time saying no to people. So you can just ask for things. Like, if you need something in business, you need something from a vendor, you need something from another team, just ask for it. Watch what happens. Yes, some people will say, hey, no, we can't do that right now. Hey, no, that's not going to work out. Or, hey, no, you're asking for too much. They're allowed to say no, but you're allowed to ask. And a lot of people are afraid to even ask. And you'd be surprised at how many people will give you what you want and need if you ask. Ask. You have not because you ask not. Every failure is a chance for a comeback, and comebacks are more fun to watch. Kind of what I said anyways. So like, your failure isn't the end of anything in anything that you're doing. You are allowed to give yourself another chance. Other people might not give you a chance, but you are always allowed to give yourself another chance. That group didn't invite me to be the president of their BNI. Another group did. They didn't have to give me a second chance. I gave myself a second chance. The very worst people are confident cowards. They lead everyone to failure. So the very worst type of people who are cowards, and they're really confident about all the things they're scared of. Okay? It's the worst type, because the really confident cowards are leaders, but they lead everybody to failure. Don't be crippled by embarrassment. Laugh at yourself and move on. Like I said, I was embarrassed by the BNI story, didn't like to share it. Now, who knows? Maybe it'll go in a book one day, okay? But it's certainly going on YouTube. Learn to love a checklist. Here's why. If you're like, do I really have to put it all in a document? Do I really have to organize with a checklist in my calendar? Yes. You know why? Organized people are easier to follow. It's very hard to follow someone when you have no idea what they're working on, what they want you to work on, or where the hell they're even going. like, I'm going to lead you there. Where? Like, when? How? What are we doing? Organized people are easier to follow. So start with a checklist. Checklists are the easiest way to organize, and then you can do more advanced organization from there. 9, organize your calendar on Sunday night. This is my pro tip. Start the week with a plan. When you come in on Monday morning and you're then trying to figure out what you're going to do for a week, you're already behind the people who already had a plan on Sunday night. If you spend, 8:30 to 10:30 Monday figuring out what you're going to actually accomplish this week, you're going to always be behind the person who already came in Monday morning with the plan, started marching around and getting everything they needed done. Give yourself that extra hour or 2 hours by organizing and planning ahead of time. Number 10, recruiting volunteers is one of the best ways to learn vision, casting, leadership, and sales. You will get more than you give in the experience. I really believe that volunteering you will get more than you give in the experience, because you're going to get a lot of character development. You're going to get a lot of hard skills in vision casting, or soft skills in vision casting, leadership, and you'll become a really great salesperson because you have to sell volunteers on why they should actually show up. Make sense? Those are the 10, and I hope this leadership hour was good for you guys. In 2-3 weeks, we'll do another one, and they're going to get more and more practical as we go on, and they're going to get more and more advanced as far as what we're leading and how we're leading. So thank you guys for being here.